Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed Mustafa from University of Turkish Aeronautical Association. Today in my presentation I want to talk about the aerospace materials, and briefly as you can see in the slide is that briefly I want to talk about the history of the aerospace materials and the properties of the aerospace material and the material that are used in the aerospace, like aircraft, for the rocket, and also the space shuttles. But first for aerospace we need for aerospace vehicles we need a material or a composites that can resist in different weather conditions and in different circumstances. Like for example, you can see in the slides right now that materials we need materials that can resist from hot, because you know that in the combustion of the engine for the rocket and the aircraft engines, that the heat can reach up to the 2000 to 3000 Celsius, so that we need a material that can resist that heat. And also we need also the materials that can resist for our vehicle in the up to the space, that when the temperature is reaching the, for example, minus 445 degrees in the space, sometimes it can reach that degree. And I mean, about the different circumstances, we have several type of obstacles inside the topic. So let's start about that. Before entering to the history and starting my presentation by the history of the aerospace material, that as I said before, that we need materials for resistance. Like before starting my presentation, right now I want to say something about the sword. As you know, that sword is made by metal, but this metal, when we heat it up, that it can be melted. So that we need it's that simple, that we need a material for aerospace vehicles that cannot be melted, so that it can resist in all conditions. So right now let's start my presentation by history. First, let me start by the history of the aerospace material. For the Wright brothers, the selection of the materials for the period 1903 till 1930, that was according to the maximum strength and the minimum weight. So for the Wright brothers to making an airframe for the aircraft, that they realized that they have to know that to have a maximum strength and the minimum weight, so that the properties that they needed was the stiffness, toughness, and the durability was needed for them to making an aircraft airframe. The main goal was the weight must be minimized, because of the aircraft was not that powerful. It was just like 150 horsepower, so it cannot carry too much weight. Because of that, the early airframe for an aircraft that constructed was entirely wood. That was completely made by wood, because the lightweight, stiffness, and the strength, these are needed. Wood was the plentiful and inexpensive, and its property well understood it at that time, because mostly everyone were using them in the building and the bridge and the constructions. That's why the wood was used, because that was the main material, or the main element, element that was used in that period. If you ask why the wood was chosen, to make an airframe for an aircraft, because no more suitable material were found yet in that period that has the strength and the lightness. High strength material in 19s, like steel and iron, were about 10 times denser than the wood. That's why too heavy. That's why that material, steel and the aluminum and the iron, these items and these materials was really heavy to make an airframe for an aircraft. But in World War II, forced the greater use of alternative materials like an aluminum, so that they use the aluminum in the World War II. So that's it for the history. So right now we will start to go through the next subject. Secondly, let's talk about the properties that affect the materials, or the properties that helps us to choose the suitable material. Several properties are needed to make the best material for the aerospace. The first property is stiffness, which is explains the rigid that can be bent. The second property for the material, aerospace material, is the toughness. It is the ability of absorb energy and plastically deform without fracturing, or we can say amount of energy per unit volume. The third property is resistance to corrosion. The resistance to corrosion is referred to how well the substance can withstand the damage caused by the oxidation or the chemical reactions. And the fourth property is fatigue, which is the weakening of the material caused by the repeatedly applied load to a material. And final and the most important property for aerospace material is the cost. That is about of the high quality and least cost of the money is needed to have a suitable material. Another property of the aerospace material, which we missed it, is the ductility. Ductility is a measure of metal's ability that withstands the tensile stress, or in a simple word we can say the forces that pulls from both ends of the material.